That's all there.
Ready? Yes. You guys ready? Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and get this meeting started. It is 6:32. Everybody in the audience will go ahead and silence their mobile devices, please. And Brandon, would you lead us in our invocation tonight?
Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here, God. We thank you, dear Lord, for your many blessings, God, just for blessing us to live in this community, dear Lord, with among so many benefits, people, our natural beauty. We ask God that you have your hand upon this meeting tonight and help us make wise decisions, dear Lord, that benefit the citizens of Mitchell County and impact their lives in the most positive ways possible. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Commissioner Stephen, put us in the pledge tonight.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 5 on our ethics, awareness, and conflict of interest reminder. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts. Does any board members have any known conflicts of interest or appearance of conflicts with respect to any matters coming before the board tonight? If so, please go ahead and make those known at this time. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to additions or changes to the agenda. Do we have any of those tonight?
I'd like to make a motion that we add the sales tax request from the Board of Education to our agenda this evening for discussion under items for discussion. Call it item number 10E.
Okay. Any other items for discussions at this time?
We also need to add item 10F, to the resolution regarding surplus school property for Mitchell County Schools.
All right, if we can go ahead and get a motion for both of those to move forward on the agenda tonight.
So moved.
And Jeff, do we have a second? Brandon. All in favor? Motion carries. All right. Item number 7 on our agenda tonight is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to move forward with that?
So moved.
Thank you, Brandon.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All in favor? And the motion carries. Item 8 is the approval of the minutes, and I think everyone has had time to review them. And if not, please let us know so we can give you moments to do those.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second, when you got it first.
Do we have to have a separate motion for closed session minutes or just?
No, ma'am, it can be all of them together.
That was Stephen Clayton. All in favor? All right, the motion carries. All right. Item 9 tonight is under our reports and presentations. Oh, thanks. 9A is going to be our employee of the month. What you feel better, Helen? Thank you, Stephen. Mitchell County Employee of the Month for August 2024. We're excited to announce Josh Nelson as the Mitchell County Employee of the Month for August. Josh works as a telecommunicator with our 911 team. Josh goes above and beyond and Josh's above and beyond consists of his constant attention to processes and developing ways to improve services to the citizens in Mitchell County. Josh has assisted in the implementation of Rapid SOS, a tool that gives an additional layer of ability to locate a 911 caller, assisting in reducing the problems of locating callers due to the amount of similar road names here in Mitchell County. Josh is also being recognized for a recent standout 911 response Josh handled. It involved an infant that was reported on in the initial call information as not breathing and changing colors. Josh, without hesitation, assisted the parents with verbal instructions on positioning the infant, opening and clearing the airway. This action immediately resulted in a crying infant and avoided the need for CPR. Josh was professional and supportive of the parents staying on the phone until EMS arrived to transport them to the hospital. Josh is a natural at assisting citizens in distress at all levels and dealing with the public safety agencies and entities. Josh also makes a contribution to the 911 team by stepping in and assisting with training of new staff members and has a natural ability to connect with them, making training less overwhelming for the trainees. Josh is an excellent team member and can step in as a team leader at any point when he is needed. So congratulations, Josh, and if you would like to come on up so we can present you an award, and a big congratulations for being nominated and selected as the Employee of the Month in your role as a 911 communicator.
Hold on just a second.
Just run away. We'll make you- Thank you.
You stand right
Yeah, all right,
there.
look at that.
Board of Commissioners.
I just figured.
We call it one thing.
Thank you.
Yes,
Now, I say item tonight for 9B is going to be our tax collector's report. And Ms. Jessie, if you would like to come on up. No.
We'll have one there, tablets for the pads there. The collections for the new year for August 2024 is $1,544,416.60. So we're in our new year. And we'll also have the percentage report as requested last meeting. The collection percentage is 17.90. You see that on there? And then foreclosures, we only had one for August. And then there are 3 auctions planned for September. 3 properties. We're still continuing all of our collections as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody got any questions for Jessie? Not fair enough. Thank you. All right, next item up is 9C, and that will consist of our board reports. So I will start over here to my left. Commissioner Brandon Pittman, do you have any on any board?
So JCPC met and we did some program monitoring of the programs that they are funding. Anything, I mean, back to that, pretty much just of
It's
it.
a little bit of board member stuff, but.
Yeah, they talked about some vacant roles and needed those, and then via board of directors and by region 2 both met. And those, the bulk of those meetings were about the launch title plan and the capacity of the provider network. There was also, I believe there was a presentation on pharmacy benefits. And Parks and Rec didn't meet.
Commissioner Steve Pittman, have you got any updates now?
Just a couple, so the Spruce Pine Main Street, has got a, fundraising golf tournament, coming up September the 9th, I believe, out at Grassy Creek, so, you know, you got time and you can like to play some golf, it'd be a good time. Unfortunately, I was sick last Monday and didn't get to attend, Maitland's board meeting. I was just looking here at I just looked the list to see if I saw anything off the cusp here that. I don't see anything that but I know that I can speak to off of just reading the agenda, so, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend it, so I don't have any updates there.
All right, thank you so much. So since our last first meeting of last month, the animal shelter has met. And so we did decide on a name and a logo. And so, I don't know if you've seen that out. So they did decide on County Line Animal Shelter and Services. And so in this logo, that's for anybody on the live stream or the audience want to see it. They went with this logo because of the location of the animal shelter and where it's going to be right there on the Wayland campus in between Mitchell and Avery. And the only difference is, this star is yellow. So,
I think we got the cat and they got the dog. On every. We're dog people over here in Mitchell County.
I don't know.
Maybe the cat people, I guess, in the world. Okay. I was giving you a hard time.
But yeah, so they did decide to go with County Line Animal Shelter and Services because, I guess for short, that stands for class. And so they're moving forward with that. If there's anybody that would like to volunteer, as always, they've got some events coming up, the Babies Clinic. They've got Falls in the Park coming up this month. So if anybody wants to bring their pet and participate in that fundraiser. They also will have an adoption event, and that's September the 21st. And then the only other topic, I think it might, is this a closed session topic?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so, the only other question that had come up in our last meeting was the discussion of allowing them to sell the old animal shelter facility. And so that is something that would have to come before the board. And I think the county would have to waive their rights. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, so basically on that, right now, if it changes use from anything other than an animal shelter, so they vacate it, you can go to a new one. And the animal shelter is not using it as an animal shelter. The facility would go back to the county. It's got a reverter in the deed, I think is what it's
Yes,
called.
sir.
Oh, look at that. I finally got a legal Lloyd and four rubbing off on me. So it would revert back to the county and we need to waive our right of reversion if the board so decides to allow for the sale of that and the proceeds to go to the new animal shelter.
And so I wanted to bring that before you guys tonight. We do have a meeting next Tuesday. So if there's any specific questions that you guys would like for me to take and ask them, please let me know. If you don't know of any right now, and you think of them between now and Tuesday.
I know we have an ordinance or a statute that where the county's by statutes obligated to provide funding to the animal shelter. How will that work with the transition into a regional shelter? Now, you don't have to answer that now, but that's a question I have.
Yeah, I think we still have to fund it, but I don't know how they come into ownership of that building. I don't know the whole backstory that happened before I was very, very young, or before I was born, but, so I don't know. So if you guys think of any questions, let me know.
So that won't change with it becoming a regional, it's still.
So, kind of right now, in our meetings, how that's gonna work is Avery County doesn't have like a county run animal shelter, they have a private one. And, at least talking to Philip, and I think you that they're looking to keep all of in-car staff and just add more, to be able to make that an easy process. So they can better serve each side of the county. But yeah, if you guys think of any questions, let me know. I will definitely ask them. Let's see, as far as our high country board, we didn't really have a lot in their last meeting. They did just say to make sure you get your invitations to me if you plan to attend the high country dinner. I've been on top of being able to get those sent in. The high country transportation board, we did, and I can't remember if I updated about this at our last meeting or not, but we do have some projects gonna be completing, like the Red Hill intersection. That was supposed to be completed last week. I haven't drove through there. So that hopefully is gonna be done. The timeframe on the sidewalks at the high school is projected to be completed in 2026. And Alan gave us some really good news about that, where there was gonna have to be a match. Now there's no longer, match, it's been covered. So that is good for both us and the school board and everybody that walks to football games and all of that. And then there was one more update, which one was it? I've had a lot of people around the bridge at Bonnie and Clyde's. That one is not projected to be replaced. That bridge is not gonna be replaced anytime soon, so
So the one that keeps hitting.
yes.
Okay.
So that one is not scheduled to be replaced anytime soon. But the only other project that they had kind of talked about was the sidewalk project, going from Bowman. And that was, they also received the town of Bakersfield received the carbon reduction grant like we did for the sidewalks to the school. So those should be completed this year, hopefully. So if you guys have any other, and rumble strips, they're replacing some rumble strips, I think, close to the school. Somewhere as you come down from Bakersfield. So I'll give those to you in case you need them or one of them. Let's see, as far as the TDA, I think I gave each of you guys a magnet, the last time that we met. But if you have the need for any more of those, please let Kelly know. She will be more than glad to get those to you, place them up in your business or anywhere that people can see. She's getting ready to get, start handing those out at businesses and Airbnbs. So I think that's her intentions at the next coffee and conversation meeting to distribute those to the short-term rental owners. So they can place those in their Airbnbs and their short-term rentals. And the only other update really that Kelly kind of talked about that's gonna be pretty important in the next little bit was since Mandy's left the chamber, she has taken over the lead role on the bike tourism event that's coming to town. And Jeff, I don't know if you can speak any more about that event, but it's supposed to bring a lot of people here.
Yes.
If you want to speak about that at all, you're more than welcome to. About it, I don't know if you know the details, but you've got it, okay. So yeah, she's working hard on that, and then the E911 board did meet, you guys will see that later on in your packet, and then the only other update I have is from the NCACC. I did attend the annual conference in Forsyth County on August the 8th, 9th, and 10th. That was a really good networking event, and I'm excited to say that, I don't know if any of you guys know him, but Todd McNeil from Ashe County, he got appointed as he will be one of the next upcoming presidents, so it's really exciting to have somebody from our region that will be the president for the association, so congratulations to him. And September the 17th, there is a prepared counties training, and that's the class that you took, Alan, and the one that I went to, and then
Okay.
you went, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Emergency manager.
Yeah, it's the one, so if there's an emergency, it kind of tells you what they're supposed to do as a commissioner, so if any of you guys want to attend that, that is September the 17th, it was very informative, or at least I thought it was.
And commissioners were there, probably more commissioners than county managers. were there.
If any of you guys want to attend that, that is the 17th. That's all I've got.
Where's it at?
I don't know, I'll look in my email and I'll tell you where it's at, but it was a good one. Hey, what you got?
So Mr. Steve Rowland and I attended the regional library board meeting last week, very lengthy meeting. We were there for quite some time, seeing presentations from each library and what's been going on throughout the year and so on. And so, not really a whole lot to report on that, but that was the meeting that I attended.
Has there been any, ask a question, has
Yeah.
there been any discussions about how, where Nancy is planning to pull out, is that going to affect either Mitchell or Avery financially, like just preparing for budget season?
So, they're going ahead as of right now as planned. That's not been confirmed to the regional board. The next meeting is supposed to be with the regional board and council, is what I understood, to discuss more further in detail.
Okay.
So, don't have a whole lot to tell on that. That's kind of where we left it, and that was one of the lines of the agenda, but not a whole information.
Jeff, what you got?
Okay, going to the Mountain to Coast Ride. Kelly Jones is spearheading that up. So it'll be done very professionally, expect 300 plus riders. This is a very competitive bike ride. And we should feel honored that it's taking place in Mitchell County. County support staff, they're estimating 1,000 people will be in Spruce Pine area for not a long stay, a short stay, but that'll bring that many people to the downtown section. It'll be staged at Riverside Park. Really and truly, a lot of my committees don't meet till this month. I've got 5 meetings in the month of September, excuse me. I did attend the ribbon cutting and the tour of the new school, which was very impressive. Very state of the art, very professional, how the meeting and everything was handled. The information that was given to parents was top notch. So, you know, something I think we're all proud of. Thank Alan Cook for being involved as much as he was and keeping us updated on the progress of the school. And a small update on the chamber. The chamber has 2 co-interim directors. They're both chamber employees right now. Sandy and Jill have both assumed that role. The chamber is working on the chamber executive committee is working on a job description for a part-time chamber director instead of a full-time chamber director. Then there's a lot of things that the chamber board is looking at right now as far as making sure the members are very comfortable knowing that the chamber is there. It's not going away. They're going to look at new direction, new promotions, also a chamber members dinner again this year that will hopefully have a lot of enthusiasm. But I think you're going to see a little bit different direction in the future of how the chamber is going to be going. That hopefully is going to be, I'm not going to say bigger, but brighter. So, but I'll keep you updated on Board of Health, Fire Association, EDC, and CPT, and then the chamber meeting. Hopefully I'll have the numbers, financial numbers on the mineral gym show.
Jeff, will the barbecue and bluegrass festival, will that be downtown this year since the bike rides in?
It will. They have, Rotary has moved that to Lower Street.
Okay.
Surely I can't remember what they told me the admission is. I think it's maybe $5. I do know they're bringing a bigger, sounds like a bigger stage in to handle the music venues. So it's going to be a lot going on in Spruce Pine. There's like 5 events taking place within the city limits of Spruce Pine.
It's the first Saturday in October, right?
It is. You got Rocktoberfest going on up our way, which is an all-day music event with vendors, local artists, stuff for the kids, unless it's changed. The Potter's Market will be at the Whitson Building. Then you've got Barbecue Festival, and then this Mountain to Coast Ride. So pretty busy weekend.
Lots of opportunities for people to
Lots of
volunteer.
opportunities, yes.
All right, good deal, good stuff. Let's see, item 10 tonight is going to be, under items for discussion is resolution for review officer. And if you guys remember, we did do, something similar to this a couple months ago. So Alan, if you would like to speak about that at all?
Yes, so basically this is for plat review, and I know that both Blair and Matt can chime in on here, but when the mapping position was vacant, we had to kind of keep plat reviews when someone has a survey and it's tied to a deed. That plat needs to be reviewed, so we took a class and had the ability to give review on that. Well, now that Matt has stepped into the mapping position, we have to pass a resolution to allow for Matt to do plat review. And I do think this is toward the end of it, says this resolution supersedes the previous resolution in deed book. So this is the most recent one. So Matt, you're on there, and I can read this or we can pass it. It's up to, I think that before we have that option, don't we, or do I need to read it?
Yes, sir, you don't have to read it unless you feel moved to do so.
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
There we go.
Second.
All in favor? All right, motion carries.
thought you was making a motion for Alan to read it.
Oh.
I was gonna second that one too.
Next item up is our Mitchell County alarm ordinance. If Andrew or Stephanie or Alan or anybody would like to come speak.
I think that we might get it. I'll start it out and then I'll have Stephanie and Andrew can chime in since they had some input into this
No
alarm
pressure.
resolution. So basically, there's a resolution that's already on the books. That's an alarm resolution that was from, let's throw an even number out there, about 10 years old, maybe 15 years old. Stephanie, maybe even older than that, right? It's a pretty old resolution, and from time to time, 2004, so it's 20 years old. From time to time, our resolutions need updates. Back in 2004, there were split phones and a lot of different stuff going on technology wise with alarms. And this came to be just because we do not want to run our volunteer fire staff to multiple alarms at the same place over and over, which is incurring diesel fuel, incurring staff time, and incurring volunteer time. So we updated the ordinance. And so this ordinance basically provides updated information to modernize it to where, for those on live stream, if you have 2 or less false alarms and you're a commercial building, there is no penalty. If you have 3 or more, there's for commercial, about $100 penalty. If you go up into that 5 or 6, it starts going up and progressing. So what this alarm ordinance does is allows us to find folks that are abusing the alarm ordinance. So if your car alarm goes off, this doesn't apply to you. If your smoke detector goes off at your personal house, this does not apply to you. This applies to alarms that are tied in and generate a 911 call, if I'm correct over here. And basically, that 911 call initiates response, and that's the type of alarms we're talking here. So I would want to really be clear on the live stream that this is not your ordinary private alarm system. This is one that's tied into 911 that's generating a call, and we're updating an existing ordinance and just modernize it.
So we'd like if you've got CPI at your house or Appalachian protection, now that does generate a 911 call. So
It generates a call to a defined business line that's dedicated to alarms. So it rings into the 911 center and elicits a dispatch of whatever public safety agency is needed.
So like a residence that you get a.
If
Alarm from-
it's an alarm company monitored alarm is what this applies.
Gotcha.
So if you had like ADT or whatever, and it generates that call and you don't disarm it in time, and it's gonna let a response happen. You get 2 of those. After 2, and I'll say the primary thing is, let's say one's a repeat offender. And I think where we revisit this, Andrew can talk to that, is we would have some that was ringing alarms off through communications 5 and 6 times per month. And every time that happens, a fire truck's dispatched out there, or a staff person, fire marshal, someone's having to go out there and secure those premises. So this is what this ordinance updates. Andrew, anything to add?
No, man, you hit it on the head. This isn't, any kind of trying to look like any sort of government overreach. It's really, set up for all of our emergency services. When you read through it, law and EMS is included in that. Really valuable resources. You don't want to tie up on something, and really it's a little more teeth than is allowed by, building code or fire code. It's just to make sure that people fix a nuisance, so there's correct verbiage in the document about what constitutes a false alarm. What's not a false alarm, that you have room for acts of God, things like that, that could potentially be forgiven by the alarm administrator. It's not meant to be an overreach, but it's like Alan hit on, you have some businesses that don't want to fix their alarm system because that's overhead to their business. Well, if you have a false panic alarm, you're running 3 deputies out, and or if it's a medical alarm and you've got somebody that, there's a malfunction there, you're costing all these agencies money, because any agency that responds is county funded. And we understand that. We don't want people getting tired. We don't want to be bleeding overhead from the budgets we've got. We want to have a good use of citizen money. I piggyback, me and Stephanie got together with, in the 911 meetings, we had municipal as well as, anything that's not a municipality for this purpose, we'll just call rural. So it's municipal and rural law, municipal and rural fire, EMS, a room full of great people that eyeballed this over, and I think the board did a great job of writing it. It's just something we want to have in place to stay. These are, every county's got an updated one. We just kind of want to have a way to help our emergency services base not get wore out on, because somebody doesn't want to fix a faulty smoke alarm in an industrial maintenance room. Because most fire trucks or those water cars, those ambulances respond, it's diesel and time.
Is that, Andy, is that, you said the alarm manager, so like, are you the one that's fielding this and keeping up with, are you making that determination that, hey, we're gonna find this person? Who's making that?
So that's a great question. So in there, it's appointed, by whoever the board manager so chooses. The way we had it in our heads was, it's 100% team effort communications, and whoever that administrator is, there's forms for alarm registration. There's ways of communication. Stephanie and her dispatchers are very well trained to keep up with how many times, alarm goes off at a certain residence or commercial business. It's very easy. I've been on scene, multiple times and say, hey, can you tell me how many times we've had a fire alarm here in the last 6 months? And it's just something they rattle off. And as far as the registration, that's something we felt we could handle adequately through our inspection software to make the form that would be universal and have those registered and get Stephanie some updated information. I mean, people were doing a lot of stuff for a long time and nobody knows who gets called and who goes where. It's a lot to keep up with, but it's something, if it betters the emergency services and mechanics, something, if it so chose, I'll be more than happy to do.
What's the time interval in between those two alarms before there's a penalty? So is it like every 2 alarms in a month, 2 alarms in a year? What's the interval?
It's usually a 12-month period.
That's more this year.
And generally, this is designed to deal with the auto dialing alarms that we are going to dispatch folks out. And one of the questions in here, after a certain point, the ordinance allows them to discontinue a response. Now, that doesn't mean that they're just going to completely ignore it. But if you have the Uladine Fire Department responding to a structure fire and the repeat offender fire alarm goes off for the 10th time in a month, they'll go check that one out after they get the structure fire that they're dealing with in hand. So it gives some discretion for the departments and for our staff on how they respond to these things, where something that pretty clearly appears to be a false alarm may in fact be dealt with on a non-critical emergency basis. It gives the staff a great deal more discretion on where you utilize the limited resources of the county in responding to these types of alarms.
And if it helps with perspective, there's not a huge number that we're looking at now. They're just those specific ones that continually go off that create the largest response. So it's not like we have a citizen that has one that goes off all the time. Typically, the citizens are calling us and saying, hey, I didn't get to my alarm panel in time, and we can let officers know and cancel. So if you're thinking that this is gonna be a huge impact on the citizens, it's not. Because again, we don't have a huge number of repeat offenders.
Have we talked to these repeat offenders and let them know that we're looking at a resolution of what's coming, I guess,
Yeah, there's, like, we had one, it doesn't really matter, who it was, but, you know, I used the ordinance from 2004, probably a month and a half ago. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous, yeah, ISO requirements on fire response, I'm a fire marshal, so I hit on fire, once again, this ordinance is for everybody, but. You know, what you have to roll to a fire is dictated by the North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal. And you're rated on how you respond to those, we had departments responding 2 trucks apiece to a pretty rural area for a fire alarm, and that's. Our guys, you also don't wanna have an address that we get tired of hearing. You hear that same address, it's another false alarm, let's just stay here, we're eating dinner, we're in church, you know, and then somebody needs help.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get complacent and
Yeah, that's what we're really trying to win here, we want everybody to, you know, fix what they gotta fix and everybody to. So that way when we get an alarm, you know, what we'll do.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, for those who are concerned about this, there are private companies that provide independent monitoring and screening that they can, such as the ones that were named earlier, where it doesn't automatically dial the 911 center, it dials their alarm center. They determine whether it's necessitates an emergency response and then call 911 center. So if there is someone who's concerned about this ordinance, they can add a buffer, if you will, by hiring a monitored service as opposed to one that just automatically dispatches our emergency services as soon as the alarm goes off.
and that's one that cannot happen with fire alarms because that is.
Yeah, you get,
Auto dial to fire for fire alarms is not allowed.
right, I mean, it feels.
Will you repeat that, Stephanie?
An auto dial to 911 for a fire alarm is not allowed. It is against
Right,
the statute or administrative code. or
Yeah,
something.
So a person has to
There's
call
a,
him.
yeah, it has to go through a company to us for a fire alarm.
I wouldn't want to do anything that would slow down the process if somebody is needed to get there. And the sad part is if it goes into this company, then it is gonna take a little bit more responsibility to get there. So, yeah, but I guess some of them does do that,
you
don't
see a lot more on residential,
Yeah, the
so,
majority
yeah,
does go through an.
Yeah, but to say that- to do it that way, I wouldn't want anything to slow down response.
The bigger thing out of this too is getting that good information that Andrew was talking about, because even though you have these companies that you see the ad for, they don't have good information to give us. So we're not getting response information and a list of people who can respond to the alarms, which is a lot of times we have nobody that's gonna show up for that activated alarm. And that's a huge problem.
I guess some of my reservation in this ordinance is that it looks like residential is the same as commercial. And I kind of think of a scenario where you have a young kid that's at home, getting off the school bus. 2 years or 2 occurrences in a year seems like pretty low thresholds to be fining citizens for a service they're already paying for through their property taxes. I like it for the commercial aspect, but 2 seems low to me for a number of occurrences in a year for a residential homeowner.
and Brandon, if I could speak to that, the beauty of the residential side of this, guys. If it does become a problem, if you do have those 2, a residential alarm system, they have the luxury of being able to lessen their protection. It's their right at their house, they can, if they have a problem with that system, they can turn the breaker on. They're not gonna get a third one, if you're in a commercial setting, you're not allowed to lessen your fire protection for those employees or the occupants of those buildings. You can't just go turn your fire alarm off, that's a good way to get me at your door, right? So, and I agree, you know, if you feel like that was low for residential, that's fine, but I felt like that the residential citizens had a great out, because if their alarm's leaky, they can flip the breaker. You know, it's just, that's the way I looked at it, but if you guys don't edit it, I'm not, we're not married to it, that's just the way it was presented.
There is discretion with the manager, his designee is the essentially the appeal officer in this matter, where these fines for good cause can be waived, or there's discretion that can be addressed for certain situations if you find the circumstances to be competitive.
Would this be like an administrative course hearing if you wanted to appeal this like to that level or?
So it's an administrative procedure that's handled within the staff model. So it doesn't go to a separate court hearing necessarily, unless there is a decision by the administrator that then goes ultimately, to the next step. But there is a process where that goes to the alarm administrator to review whether or not the fine's appropriate or not. Folks can appeal that within 10 business days for that determination.
And I think the false alarm definition is gonna help out too, when Andrew can speak or not, but if you have a kid that goes home and accidentally activates their alarm system, that alarm system is doing what it's supposed to. So that's not technically,
Yeah, it's not
not
really,
be a false alarm, because the system is doing what it was meant to do.
I just think of a scenario, you know, when I was in middle school, I had a little friend and she would always punch in the wrong code and the
Yeah.
alarm would go off.
yeah, absolutely.
And I can tell you currently, there's a whole lot of grace with that, because, you know, if they change the code, you might forget it a couple times. There is a lot of grace currently in those situations, and as long as we have a list of people to contact, which we don't have access to now, that's gonna alleviate a whole lot of that too, because we can call and say, hey, this has happened, and this is who's telling us that they're at your house. And they can say, yeah, they're supposed to be. So that gives another layer of ability to handle some things that we can't now.
And I also, I get, you know, like the abuse of the resources too, you know, like if I had this issue at my house, I would try to take care of it, so y'all didn't get a normal.
Sure.
But not everybody's gonna do that.
Well,
so.
residential, with any issues we had, and I think the last was an issue with the law enforcement alarm, they handled it without any, when we told them what was going on, they handled it. I think what turned out to be the problem was they had a pet in the house that kept activating their system, so they fixed that. But residential was a whole lot more workable
Yeah,
with than some industrial or business.
and it's also one of those ordinances that talks about, you know, how it's written for accident like that. I know there's a lot of alarms, have a lot of trouble with power outage, power flicker, or snowstorm. A lot of places that I talk to these deputies, they go that are at the end, the top of the road at Sweet Creek, or at the very end of Little Switchland, and you've got an event going on, and you've got an officer going there, you know, and I don't imagine, though, like I said, those being a real issue where it would come down to a fine, I don't see it, but it's written in there. I think it's very, very well written for that, but I understand about the concerns for residential. I would have it too, because, but all those are gonna be, you know, medical, law, some fire. We don't, it'd be nice if there was more residential fire alarms, but they're just not.
What is the bulk of residential, is it police?
Probably police.
At least in medical.
And so the other thing you gotta think about, Brandon, is every time we have to respond to these false alarms, we're incurring liability on the county as well in our emergency response, just based on that.
Well, then you're tied up on a.
You're tied up on that, but every time we have to turn on the lights and siren, it raises the chances of an incident. So we just try to lessen that for things that aren't legit.
If the board does wish to change the number of occurrences before there would be a financial penalty incurred, I would note that the ordinance does say that if there are multiple alarms within a 24-hour period, such as continuously malfunctioning alarm, that only counts as one alarm rather than multiple alarms.
Jeff, Clinton, do you have any questions?
I kind of got one, but I want to allude to a specific address, and I don't know if that's something I should do or not. To see if it fit that category and exactly how it handled, so, you bear with me and see if I can describe this, if it was a, elderly housing location. That gets quite a few calls. And obviously requires a response. How does that work?
So
Is
what you have to remember in that is
You know the
the
location of it?
alarm is activating because it's doing what it's supposed to.
Sure,
The bigger issue there is probably some effort into working with them on improving processes they do inside their facility.
burn popcorn
Yeah,
happens sometimes.
so maybe You work with them on cooking habits. As opposed, because the alarm, if the alarm activates because it senses that burnt popcorn, it's not a false alarm because the system is doing what it's supposed to.
Okay.
Where we run into the problem, and Andrew talked more of that, is when there's intentional acts that cause that alarm as opposed to unintentional. Now, the fire association, I think, can discuss the response on that, because I think alarms are looked at a little different now than they used to be in the past. And they can revamp what they want responding on those, because currently on a fire alarm activation, it gets a structure fire dispatch, because we don't know. So there can be some modification on what the fire association had requested that initial dispatch be to what they can happen in the future.
But that one specific location. If we delayed response and it were something, an actual case, we're in bad shape.
I think there always
To
needs to
begin
be
with.
somebody put eyes on it, because again, you get that, oh, well, that they burnt popcorn again, and it's the 15th time, well, but the alarm did what it was supposed to, and we're not, we don't have a fully involved building,
Right.
I guess.
So that's kind of my question is, does that fall back on that resident or is that considered a commercial structure?
It's
Because
a commercial structure, okay, by occupancy type, what it comes down to there, Stephanie's right, and there's some other places amongst the county that have a very similar problem. No matter what kind of smoke it is, it's smoke, and, it causes that alarm, to malfunction sometimes, but they, a lot of that comes down to training, and I'll take that moment to say that there's some things here, there's gonna be an educational period. We're not gonna go out trying to, bust businesses wide open, saying, hey, you need to fix this paperwork and register. It's really a piggybacking on the opportunity that I perform recurrent fire inspections and have a 5-minute spill at the end of it when I'm required to get a signature to say, hey, here's some paperwork. We'd like to update this to better serve you. And a lot of that could come down to education. A lot of that's hard to stop because the opportunity to cook popcorn when you want kind of what they pay for. At there, and there's a lot, and we want to drop this ordinance so it would be the same, no matter who was filling the seats. A lot of that's gonna come down to alarm administrator at the time that it happens, and sometimes, I've got a pretty good rapport with a lot of business owners. And, if it's really a problem, people are usually pretty apt to fix it, but there's gonna be those best you can do. I mean, it's, and the firemen understand that. And the law understands that, and EMS understands that. When it's, the panic alarm that's going off 4 miles up Poplar Creek 5 times, or it's the fire alarm that's, and like she said, when it's a fire, we've requested it. Due to some commercial fires we've had in the county that everybody's well aware of, we send the work. We want it there. We ain't got a huge fire service, but we put the devotion of them and their training up against anybody in Western North Carolina. So we want them there for the citizens, so, that's all discussions that can be had across the board, and like I said, it's definitely gonna be education. But there's information that's lacking that needs to be there just for the safety of the citizens and the responders, no matter what branch of emergency services they may serve.
Anybody any questions about it?
No, I look at it a little bit opposite. I think it's a good thing. I think that when I say, it holds the owner responsible if there's a problem and they're not willing to fix the problem. But yet emergency services keep getting dispatched out. And then I like the part of it that, I've got a situation, I can say, hey, Andrew, I've got this stupid cat at Lakeview, sleeping inside at night. And if she gets locked up inside the mercantile side of it, and she decides she's gonna wake up and lock across the door, then the alarm goes off. But then I get a call about 2 o'clock in the morning from the alarm service. And would you like us to dispatch law enforcement? No, it's the cat. Can I go back to sleep? So, yeah, I see I think it's possible, okay? I think, you know, if you're somebody in violation and you know you're in violation and you're not willing to do anything to fix it, then okay, this is gonna help you fix it when, you know, you have to write that check. So,
We don't have an alarm at our house. I should say that in honest. We got guns. We got guns.
Oh, yeah, set the alarm clock all the time.
So I don't really know how it works. Is that buffer, that Jeff's talking about where the alarm company calls you before they dispatch? Is that pretty standard in residential stuff?
Yeah.
well, it is a commercial in our place.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah.
opt not to have them dispatched.
You get a lot of that, fire's a little whack on that, some people central dispatch, they just. Give Stephanie as soon as he goes, I mean, fire, they don't get around with that. But yeah.
All right, any more discussion? Questions, concerns? Okay, if the board feels comfortable to move forward, we will need a.
Can I get one more question? I guess this is easy to change if we run for same problems, there's no public hearing on this, this is just a.
Correct. This is a public safety ordinance. It could be changed at any meeting of the commissioners, if necessary.
I'm good.
Okay, if there's no more discussion or questions about that, if the board feels comfortable moving forward, we will need a motion for the Mitchell County alarm ordinance at this month.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Steve, all in favor, vote by usual sign. The motion carries.
I think we need to appoint that alarm man. It's gonna have fire marshal do that. It's not very often. Hopefully it won't be a big workload on that, but if the board wants to do that, or if the county manager, I thought it had the county manager having a little bit of authority to do that.
Yes, sir. It designates the manager or the manager's designee, so it's, it doesn't require board action to make that designation. That's something the manager can do.
Next item up on our agenda tonight is item 10C, and that is the stopgap solution programs.
And I'll speak to that. This is a way stopgap. Let me see if I can give y'all a 101 in grant funding for internet access into the county. So our county has a few areas that probably need some internet. I'm looking at French Broad ended up getting a lot on their lines, but Frontier has some lines on the south end of the county of about 600 lines thereabout. And we've been talking back and forth a little bit with them to get us a proposal for what that costs. So the way it was done, there was a great grant which was able to fund French Broad's internet access through a grant, and we matched it with some other CAB grant funding. But we have a CAB grant and we have a stopgap grant. And the county typically has a 20% match on this. So short story long, this stopgap will allow for the potential waiver of the county match, which lets us get fully funded internet without using taxpayer funds to do it. Now, it might decrease it to 5%, but it reels it in. For example, let's say you wanted to get 300 or 400 folks served in Mitchell County. That's probably a $2 to $5 million deal that you're putting line on poles, putting in high speed. And you say, what's the county's match at 20% on 5 million? Well, that's what math right up here. It's a pretty good chunk. Somebody out there is supposed to get me that. So yeah, 200,000 on $1 million, that's 20% match. So that's 10 million, or no, it's 1 million.
1 million on
1 million, yeah. So 1 million in Mitchell County is pretty hard money to come up with. So this is what this is, real basic. It's no strings attached, just need your vote on it and need y'all to run it through. We do have and the clerk might can speak to it. We have the requirement for about 2 evaluation team members on this grant. So we have to appoint 2 folks. to kind of be there as a recipient for the grant funding. And I don't know how long a period we'll be looking at. It could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. But we could put a board member on there, put the county manager on there. I even thought about putting this on our new clerk. She could be could be me and the new clerk, or it could be a commissioner, it could be a finance team.
I have several questions.
Fire away.
So out of this list, I'm gonna find it in our packet, how do you, the pre-qualified vendors?
Mhm.
How do we, the people that we appoint to these seats, are they part of that vetting process? What does that look like?
So that's the neat thing about it. The state NC Department, DIT, the
Mhm.
uh,
Department of Information and
there
Technology,
you go. They will be doing pretty much its turnkey.
okay,
We might stamp the approval on it, but they will do all the grant, everything on there from the last email I got. Now, these emails are subject to change, but they're telling me there's not very much downside on this. Everything on here is gonna be close to very low maintenance on the counties is what they're promising. So that's what makes this stopgap really attractive. And yeah, you can see those pre-qualified vendors on there, and basically, they're folks that's gonna be they gotta have the access to the polls, so usually it's you kind of know who you got in your county. That's why I'm aiming at Frontier to try to get them to jump on there and get us some stuff going, but maybe some of these others could be subcontracted in or something.
do the evaluation team members have the opportunity to voice concern if there is a pre-qualified vendor that is less than standard with their current service for the citizens of Mitchell County?
So on that, if they're pre-qualified, there's some legal hoops because they did go through the pre-qualification. So I'd say if I had an issue like that, my first stop's gonna be over here to talk
Okay.
about it.
Yes, so as with any contract we enter into, the bidder has to be responsive and responsible. Responsible means they're able to perform the services to the contract specifications. The pre-qualification process generally would meet that they are a responsible bidder for the project. If we have certain criteria that we expect them to meet, it's really a matter of have they met the requirements of our contract or not? As opposed to are they not capable of meeting those requirements?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to appoint the evaluation team members tonight?
To proceed with this, I think it's recommended to do so. I'll defer to Mr. Cooks.
We have a September 9th deadline, and you can either do it two ways. You can let me appoint two, you give me that authority. Or if you all, I threw some suggestions out there. If you as a board got
I move that we appoint, our new clerk, Deidre, and sorry, I'm one of the boys, one of them. What about the
Does this
second
need
one?
separate motions?
Second one, I'd recommend county manager. Talk about motion to build.
So moved.
Together.
All right. Motion, who seconded it, Jeff?
I think he made a motion with his motion, so it's
I amended my motion to
Oh, you did.
include, county manager.
and I second that.
Okay. All right, just so that the audience and everybody on live stream, that was a motion for Deidre and the county manager to be, the evaluation team members for the NC Rural Center, stopgap solutions program. So, so that was, you made the motion, you seconded it, all in favor? All right, the motion carries. Congratulations. Next item up is going to be item 10D, and that is our late application for GP Stolen's Land Company.
All right, so yeah, I can speak to this one. This is coming from the side of the taxes on that GP. Blair, could you just go ahead and cover me here?
So anytime there's a change in ownership of a piece of property that's enrolling in present use value, be it between family members or members of, I think this is an LLC, then we were required to send out a new application so that we've got the correct ownership information in the office with the program. We attempted to to get this out to them. The gentleman that was point on it apparently didn't understand it to begin with. We allowed some more time, and eventually it came to light that he had emailed us twice the information that we requested, but didn't zip it in a zip file, and it blasted it back at him because the email was taken. And we were thinking he just was not responding to us. But we've since gotten the stuff by snail mail, and as a formality, you know, it's up to you all for consideration as a late application. Consider no circumstance.
Do you recommend, what's your recommendation based
I
on?
think the man attempted
He did. We
to the best
actually,
of his ability to get the stuff to us, but it just didn't get back.
We had IT research it and his emails were being kicked back by our server because of the size of the file. So we verified that.
Madam Chair, to grant a late application, the board has to find good cause. The standards, good cause for the late filing. And that would be one of the requirements if you wish to grant this.
Are we granting a release or just the application?
This is an this is to retroactively make the present use value effective. As opposed to
Reinstate.
Reinstate it as of the date that it would have otherwise lapsed.
And then there's a release following in the cemetery.
Yes, because
If it's passed.
if it lapses, the property owner will owe the difference. Retroactive.
Any other questions?
His basis, he's sold the property, is that what the basis is?
They changed some of the ownership structure, and it's a group of family that I think memory serves me correct, it's a LLC, and they just, you know, some different ownership changes there based on the deeds that came through.
So we need a move to grant that, late application.
Yeah, and in a nutshell, the man tried to be good clients to our request, and we didn't get the information to the server.
Any more discussion? If not, do we have a motion to proceed forward with, good cause to accept the late application for the GP Solon's land?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. All right, next item up is going to be 10E, which is our sales tax request from the Board of Education. Okay.
Friday, Beth called and, wanted to know if she could get this added to the agenda. And she apologized that they were a little bit late with getting this at last minute, but they were waiting on some quotes, which she also included in her information that she sent us. So basically what they're needing to do is take another draw from their sales tax that we're holding right now. And in my memo, you'll see that if we grant this and go ahead and send them this funds, it's still gonna leave them a balance of $431,000 in sales tax funds. So it's not depleting their account. It's just merely, they need to use 276,000 of it to make these purchases.
What are all the purchases?
They are purchasing an activity bus, 2 different activity buses. They need additional cafeteria tables, additional chairs, some outdoor trash receptacles, and a storage trailer.
$66 capacity, wow, I think, monster and bus, I've never seen that. 66 capacity. No, I wonder if that's elementary kids, I guess that's.
So you.
No, 26,
That's a half bus.
Yeah, and ours is.
Jill, did you find a copy of it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't flip far enough. Our clerk to the board has provided me with all the information.
Any discussion, question?
Scott Cummins in a commissioner,
Um, Does that mean it drives fast?
Yeah, good evening.
Makes her office sound like she'd like that.
If there is no discussion and the board sees fit, then we need to have a motion to grant the sales tax request from the Board of Education at this time.
So
Thank you, Clayton. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor, vote by usual sign. All right, and motion carries. Now, the last item for the discussion tonight is going to be 10F, and that is the resolution regarding the surplus school property.
So this resolution is related to the county's right of first refusal when the school sells school property. So the county attorney and the school board attorney got together and had some emails going back and forth. And for Harris, this is not for Deaton, Harris is in the process of the sale going through. We need to waive our right of first refusal, knowing that it's at the basis of $750,000 is the price. So the county attorney might can add an additional bit of information to that if needed.
Yes, that's correct. We hold a right of first refusal where we can, for lack of a better term, match the price of an offer for the school building. They've received an offer. They have requested that we waive our right to match that and go through with the purchase. And the resolution does reflect that we are waiving the sale because they have an offer for the $750,000. It's not a blanket waiver, but a waiver that at that price, we don't wish to match it if that is the discretion of this board. Otherwise, this board can exercise its right of first refusal if you choose to do so.
Any discussion? No questions?
I think we ever had a plan for any of that property, so.
Needs a lot of work. I'd like to make.
I know that that's not in city limits, but I don't know how this process works. And you might know since Darla was the mayor. Where it's currently, or where it was currently a school and it was zoned something, would it have to be rezoned into a different zoning category? Do you know?
It depends what the purpose would be.
Okay.
Now, from my understanding of how they're wanting to set this up, it's probably not gonna have to be rezoned with Harris. But now it will have to come under building code
Okay.
because ownership is changing. Not gonna be grandfathered in, and I think the purchasers knew that going into it. And it sounds like it's a very good, well-used plan. With multiple groups being able to use that as well as the community. So I think it's a very good thought out use for that building and property. That will benefit Alamance County.
I do have a question. This one will be highlighted as well. Attach the rest of it.
We will get that. I'll get that bold and clear.
Yes, sir.
If the fifth, where it
Yes.
can just be bold.
I noticed that and bothered me as well.
I didn't know if that has to be
Yeah.
pointed out before we vote on it. Okay,
I can fix that and resend it.
okay, thanks. Any more discussion or questions pertaining to this? If not, then if the board seems fit, we will need a motion for the resolution regarding the surplus school property.
We'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All in favor, vote by usual sign. All right, motion carries. All right, let's see, the next item up is our consent agenda. And on there, we have 3 items, which 11A is the property tax refunds release for August 2024. 11B is the vehicle tax refunds release for August 2024. And then item 11C is the NC DOT agreement for sidewalks on the Ledger School Road. If there's. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote by usual sign, motion carries. All right, Mavis, you're up for Air Finance Officer's report.
I really don't have anything. I did, you have the, report that I heard they did today for August. And you'll see that we're tracking pretty much as normal for the second month into the new budget year. We're still very busy in the finance office working on, audit right now and grants. I will say that Beth and I are both excited about hopefully just one more month of school bill payments, and we're gonna close the lottery funds out. We're down to the last draw on those lottery funds, which will happen the 1st of October to pay September's invoices. So we're excited to be able to close one out. I will be glad. Other than that, everything's going well.
Maybe it's a quick question, and this is, you've been managing all that stuff and seen it. Is there plans, and maybe you guys may know the answer to this too, but you know, in front of the new school there, you've got the retention pond, you've got the fence that goes around it, and then you've just got that wetland area that looks pretty, it needs some love, I guess is what I said.
Unkept.
Yes, it's unkept. Is there any plans to do any like hardscapes or anything that to get that?
If it's in the wetlands, I don't think it can be disturbed. It's protected.
You just have to leave it as such. That's unfortunate.
Now, you know, probably sitting where the, construction trailer is at,
Yeah,
that area in there, I don't think falls into the wetlands, so that would probably be neat and tidied up. I don't know if it'd be, my opinion, Steve, it won't be landscaped or hardscaped, it would be grass and the grass area to cut.
it looks at this beautiful school and everything. And it's like, golly, I wish we could do something to that little section to.
I do think the trees, you know, as you're coming from Spruce Pine to Red Light that are blocking the view of the school, the old scrubby stuff, I think those are projected to be taken
Cleaned
out.
up good. Just curious. If they had any money to do such things or even plans or
I
anything.
think they're gonna come pretty close to being right on target to finish out the lottery funds, and probably they'll have one more Illinois invoice, and there's funds to cover that, and then I'm sure they'll probably have one more coat invoice, and that's gonna be it.
Any more questions for Mavis?
And next, we're gonna close out the sheriff's department. That's the next one on the list. We need to close some of them out.
All right.
Now you've been in your back here, so.
What do you think, Sheriff?
Well, Mavis had a perfect segue into the county manager report. So, yes, we have a lot of projects running, but it's very nice to see projects closing out. We've been very busy on the county administration side with the finance team over here taking the brunt of the new middle school build. Been very busy, and they've kept this budget ordinance running really beautifully. They've also been very mindful of audit practices. They've checked their legal liability box. They checked their audit box. Very proud of what they do to see a project close out. You know, I know the school has worked very hard as well on this, but it's been a team effort. And we're very glad to see that new middle school up and going, and all the grant money that came to Mitchell County being spent perfect on audit. And that's one of my, I think, Mavis and me, we always ask those questions, legal and audit. Those are the two we're always running, and got a good county attorney to navigate us through that as well. The law enforcement center, we're hoping, the closeout date, I think somewhere around October 21st, 22nd. It is very close to being complete, and that will be another project off the books. Maybe by the end of November, we can close out another one, but I'm looking to see, hopefully mid-October, we're gonna be doing some moving into that thing, and then a ribbon cutting. We're tentatively wanting to schedule the last week of October, so we're definitely kind of doing some work towards that. And My hope is that as we've got furniture that we're gonna start putting in the offices. I'll be, asking Donald for some strong backs probably when we get to working alongside with maintenance to get that moved in, so. We'll do that ribbon cutting and, it'll be a time to celebrate the closeout of that build. And then we're still working on, Bowman over here, we're wanting to do some I'm doing a lot of grant work with that to try to get a new ag extension facility on there and also getting it up to building code and fire code as we change use in there because the county will be migrating a few things out that way. Another exciting project, and about this time next year, we'll be closing it out. It's the new recreational center that's being built behind the office here. Lloyd Heiss, Special Projects Manager, he's been working really hard on this project. Brock Duncan's been working really hard on it. Having those folks to spec out what's needed and having that Lloyd to kind of go in on project management. Having Stan Cook as a local engineer working on that project's been very good. We're running on budget. We've been fighting this past 2 weeks to stay on budget. We've had some prices that we're running up on some of our field work out here with our concessions and restroom. We're trying to reel them back down and keep on budget. That project's running really, hopefully we'll continue to run on budget as we get ready to go out for site development on the field area. The indoor recreational facility, you'll start seeing it come out of the ground late November, mid-November. You'll start seeing a structure back here. And it'll get dried in and you'll think it's close to being done, but the complete for the indoor facility is probably going to be about July-ish of next year. The complete of the entire project, if we're running off a part of scope, would be October of 2025. So those projects are running. We're hoping to come in under budget on them. We're hoping to close those out. And when I close out all these projects as a new county manager, I'll tell you, it's going to be a different world to live in. I hit the road in about the middle of 4 projects going simultaneously and
We'll try and get another.
yeah, I'm sure you all, there are other things coming down the pipe. We are looking at a transportation hub, so that one will probably kick in when one goes off, so, and that's okay. I love it for Mitchell County, so good projects, grant funds even, that's better. So we're really happy about that. And that concludes my county manager report.
Thank you, County Manager. So our next item up is a closed session, and we do have the need to go into a closed session. And so per general statute, that is going to be 143-318.11A3, which is to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body and will preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. The general policy matters may not be discussed in a closed session, and nothing herein shall be construed to permit a public body to close a meeting that otherwise would be open merely because an attorney employed or retained by the public body is a participant. The public body may consider and give instructions to an attorney concerning handling a settlement of a claim, judicial action, mediation, administrative procedures. If the public body has approved or considered a settlement other than a malpractice settlement by or on behalf of a hospital, in closed session, the terms of that settlement shall be reported to the public body and entered into the minutes as soon as possible within a reasonable time after the settlement. And we also have a closed session for General Statute 143-318.11A5 to establish or to instruct the public body, staff, or negotiate agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiation. So we have both those, and then the first part of that closed session, we will need to ask Sheriff Street to stay with us, the board, county manager, and the clerk, and our legal counsel. So at that time, we need a motion to enter into closed session. Thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Steve. All in favor? All right.
Good one.